Welcome back to my channel. I've been getting a lot of requests for us to talk about being pre-med, so instead of making it just one long video, we thought it'd be more helpful and more informational if we split it up into a multi-part series. And today we're going to be talking about coursework, fulfilling pre-med requirements, and what the perfect pre-med major is. But before we jump into that, we thought we would introduce ourselves because you might be new to my channel. So hi, I'm May. I just finished my first year at Brown and I'm currently a health and human bio major, but I might switch to public health.
And I'm ANUVA. I just finished up my freshman year at USC. I'm currently a human bio major with a stats minor, but I'm probably also going to switch to public health.
Right on. Right on. I think it's really helpful to hear a student's perspective, and we go to different schools. Brown has an open curriculum, USC has general requirements. Just a disclaimer, we just finished our first year, so by no means do we know everything. Always listen to your advisors first before us. We just thought it would be helpful to share experience.
We're just here to show you our experience being pre-med, but obviously there's no perfect one-fit-all. A lot of people go into their freshman year thinking, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm so pre-med, but it's really important to go in with an open mind and not flood yourself with only pre-med courses, because that may not be the path that you want to take. And in high school sometimes we're very STEM oriented and we don't have the opportunity to explore other humanities courses. So one disclaimer that we both had and something we both did our freshman year was take a balance of those STEM courses, those hard sciences, but also the humanities courses to really balance it out and see if our interests truly lie in pre-med.
A lot of people take all STEM courses their first semester because they think that they need to get on top of requirements, but that's totally not the case. You have 4 years to fulfill all these requirements, so you're really in no rush. That leads into our first topic, the general pre-med requirements. I'm gonna link all the tables and things that we talk about down below. Our universities usually include the general format, 3 to 4 year plans for graduating with all the requirements and when students tend to take them, so I'll include that in the bio. As a pre-med, you're going to be taking 4 to 5 semesters of chemistry with lab, around 2 semesters of biology, 2 semesters of physics, these are all with lab, and I think 1 to 2 semesters of math. So for most colleges, you only have to really take AP statistics, but for me and ANUVA, because we're interested in applying to schools in California, California med schools do require that you take a semester of calculus while you're at your university. So even though you might have taken calculus in high school and gotten the AP credit, you'll still have to take a semester of calculus while in college.
And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take AP Calc in high school, because definitely an experience that me and May both had was that our calculus class in college was a lot easier because we already had that knowledge. So it's good to explore those subjects in high school, but just know that your AP credit may not transfer. As of 2015, the MCAT was redesigned to include sociology and psychology questions. So another thing on the pre-med requirement is 1 semester of sociology and 1 semester of psychology.
Most health profession schools also require 2 semesters of English. I think the writing requirement depends based on college, because for us, we're generally recommended to take our 2 semesters of English for pre-med within the English or literature departments, but for USC, we just have to take 2 semesters of writing. So it's just like a general writing class, 3 to 4 essays per semester. Yeah, so the English requirement for pre-med is kind of nuanced and a little different from the writ requirements for Brown. So Brown doesn't have any gen ed requirements, but we do require taking 2 semesters of a writ course, which is just a writing designated course, while at your 4 years at Brown. So we're gonna really quickly talk about AP credits and which ones transfer and which ones don't. So AP Bio transfers in the sense that you can skip out of the intro bio class, but you still have to fulfill 2 semesters of biology with lab. AP Chem doesn't give you credit, but it helps you place out of Chem 100, and basically our Chem sequence goes Chem 100 and Chem 33, and then organic chemistry and biochem. So if you take Chem 100, that's a course that's more for students in high school who didn't take AP chemistry, or for people who have little to no chemistry experience. If you take Chem 100, you have to take Chem 33. While they're both general chem courses, you can't skip out of 33. So it's not one or the other, you have to take 33 at some point. If you want to graduate without having to take a gap year and then going straight into medical school, I would highly suggest that you study and prepare for the chemistry placement exam so that you get into 33 instead of 100. But if you do get into 100, there's no sweat. Like, you'll still get through everything fine. Like, there's no like consequence for you being in 100 before 33. But if you do have the AP credit and you get a 4 or 5 on the chem exam, then you don't have to take the placement test and you'll just go into Chem 33. AP physics does not transfer, but if you did do well in AP physics, you might want to do a higher level in the physics sequences. So most pre-meds take physics 30 and 40, but if you do feel like you were in physics C and it was easy for you, you can take the higher level physics sequence. I already talked about AP calculus. AP calc does transfer, and most people just take the credit and like they don't have to take a semester of calculus and they just take a semester of statistics. But if you are planning on applying to California med schools, or you have like a really specific dream school, you might want to look up the requirements for math, because some colleges, a small handful, do require that you take a semester of calculus while at your university. AP stats just does not transfer, you have to take stats. And for those in high school and your school does offer APs, you might be asking, which APs should you take? Do you want to answer this?
What?
Like, should you take all of the science APs? Do you think it's worthwhile, or should you take like APs that you're interested in?
Okay, well, I think May deferred this question to me because I took most of the science APs in high school. I took chem, bio, and physics, and honestly I think so. Okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little. At USC, it does not matter what APs you took for pre-med. So I took all of these science APs, but USC doesn't take that credit if you're pre-med, and you're still required to take those 2 semesters, general bio, general chem, and general physics. So even though I didn't get to transfer my credit, I definitely think that taking those APs did help, because I was able to do a lot better in those bio and chem classes because I already had that knowledge. Like, I was familiar with the material. And I'm taking physics next year, and I feel like I'm going to have the same experience there. So just because your college may not take the credit for it, it's definitely worthwhile to get that exposure to those subjects in high school where it's a little more flexible, because as a pre-med, we all know our grades really do matter, so it'll be easier to maintain that high GPA.
But in terms of like getting accepted to universities, don't think that taking all 3 science APs will make you a better candidate as a pre-med, because really colleges are just looking at your character and like what you've done in high school outside of just your coursework. But yeah, like for example, I didn't take AP physics. At Brown, we had a health careers advising session where they handed out 3- and 4-year plans. So the 3-year plan is for people who plan on not taking a gap year and going straight into med school, and the 4-year plan is for people who are planning on taking a gap year. So I kind of touched on this already. It's really hard for you to actually fulfill the 3-year plan if you start with Chem 100. But if you start in the Chem 33 track, then you can do either the 3-year or 4-year plan.
If you're taking the 3-year plan, you're gonna have to double up on those science courses. Like for me, I don't really want to take a gap year as of now, so I have to take at least 2 sciences per semester, which is 2 labs, which is a good amount of work. But I know people who are pre-med who are gonna take a gap year and they're only taking 1 science per semester. So it's really up to you. There's no right or wrong answer. You can take a gap year, you don't have to. It's just up to you. Just know that if you're trying to fulfill your requirements in those 3 years, it will be more work.
It's a really good point. For us, if you want to not take a gap year, you're gonna have to double up on labs at some point. So I would recommend that you do that sooner rather than later. So next semester, I'm gonna be taking physio with lab and organic chemistry too with lab, and I personally think that's preferable to taking a bio lab with physics, because physics is gonna be rough.
Catch me 2nd semester junior year with OChem and a physics lab.
I'm just gonna do the very general plan that I think most of my friends are doing as pre-meds. So in 1st semester, we take general chemistry, which is Chem 33 or Chem 100. If you're on Chem 100, you take Chem 33 in the spring. Otherwise, you take organic chemistry part 1 in the spring. So I did Chem 33 and then organic chemistry 1, and then I'm going to be taking organic chemistry part 2 in the fall of my sophomore year, and then be taking, I think, biochem in the spring of my sophomore year. So that's like the chem sequence for me. But if you are on the Chem 100 track, it's a little more complicated. Some of my friends who are in Chem 100 took physics already in their freshman year because otherwise it's going to be really hard for them to fulfill the requirements on time. Even though they have like the 3-year, 4-year plans on the Health Careers Advising website, you don't necessarily have to follow it. You can always switch things around, but keep in mind that some courses are only offered in the fall or the spring. So for example, organic chemistry part 1 is only offered in the spring. So if you're in Chem 100, really plan ahead.
One thing at USC is that their pre-med advising is really good. So if you just go in, they'll like list out all the courses that you need to take and help you draft that 4-year plan. So I did not know what I was supposed to take, so that really helped. Something that pre-meds do sometimes is take courses off track. So that's what I did. So I took bio on track and chem off track. So what that means is I went straight into bio my first semester at USC, but I only took my first semester of chem during my second semester. So most pre-meds start off with that bio and chem first semester, so the curves are a lot harder in those classes because you're competing against these same pre-meds who are very much focused on their grades. So for bio, that curve was kind of hard, but then when I took chem my second semester, I definitely thought that the curve was a lot easier because I wasn't competing against all of those pre-meds. So it kind of gives me a little leeway and flexibility there. And also I talked to my advisor about this, and this is something that a lot of pre-meds do at USC. It's definitely feasible for me to graduate without that gap year. So we have a new member joining us. He's unfortunately not pre-med. The course plan at USC is about the same as Brown. 2 semesters of general bio, 2 semesters gen chem, 2 semesters organic chem, 2 semesters of physics, and then 1 semester of sociology and 1 semester of psychology is recommended because the MCAT has been redesigned, as I said before. And then we also have 2 semesters of writing. But that's a general requirement for everyone, but it also overlaps with the pre-med. And we also have a requirement for biochem and molecular bio, but we have a special course that combines MoBio and biochem, so that's pretty cool.
When you're deciding on what courses to take, how do you balance your gen ed requirements and your pre-med requirements?
Yeah, so what I've been doing is, so we usually take 4 classes per semester, so I've just been taking 2 sciences and 2 general ed requirements. And sometimes the general ed requirements are also pre-med requirements. For example, last semester I took bio, chem, sociology, and an art history class. So art history was for my arts requirement, and then sociology doubled up as a pre-med requirement, but also one of my gen ed requirements. So it just works out that way. So there is still like probably 3 courses of pre-med per semester, but 2 are humanities and 2 are STEM.
Just a general question, what's the number of courses commonly taken per semester?
So for USC it's 4, but you can take up to 5. It's just extra work.
Yeah, probably for most semester system schools, 4 is standard. Sometimes people take 3 courses because they end up dropping 1 course towards the end of the semester, but that's totally common, especially in your first semester as a freshman. So don't feel bad if you're taking 3 courses and you drop 1. You can always make it up with 5 courses in a later semester, and I think it is doable as long as you keep in mind balancing course load.
Also, a lot of people take 3 courses like their second semester junior year when they're taking the MCAT, because studying for the MCAT is basically a course.
Yeah, so kind of in contrast to USC, because they do have gen eds, the open curriculum is sort of confusing to some people. It's not that we entirely don't have requirements, but there are essentially no gen ed core requirements besides for 2 semesters of writing, and those 2 semesters of writing don't have to be in the English or literature departments, they just have to be writ designated. So in terms of how I chose my courses this semester, I tended to take around 2 to 3 courses that satisfied either a pre-med requirement or a concentration requirement. And keep in mind, I don't have a set concentration yet, but I do have a good idea of what courses fulfill concentrations that I'm interested in. It's also a good way to help you decide if you want to do one concentration over the other. You just take a course in that concentration. And a concentration, I've been saying concentration so much, but concentrations at Brown are just majors. We don't have minors, we just have double concentration. He needs to go.
And for me, I hate commitment, so I don't know what major I am yet. So all of the courses that I took freshman year are just either pre-med requirements or general ed requirements. So I haven't taken anything towards a major yet. Like if I am a human bio major, those pre-med requirements also overlap with the human bio, and same for public health, but like all the courses that I took were very general, nothing specific to a certain major.
I will say that I kind of do regret not taking computer science in my first semester, because I think once you go to college, you realize the importance of like technology, computer science, data analysis and stuff like that, and a lot of people emphasize that you should gain those skills. And I think first semester, because my course load otherwise wasn't that heavy, or even second semester, but CS, like the first intros CS course is only offered in the fall, so just keep in mind like courses that are not in your concentration or in like a pre-med core requirement. Some of those courses are sequences and they're only offered starting in the fall, so you have to think about that also when you're planning courses. Just look into which ones are offered in the fall only or spring only. And a great way to do that is going to the critical review. So the critical review is a student-run website that essentially reviews courses, and they give a rating on the professor and how much work there is per week. So they give you a time estimate, like 8 hours a week on average and like 20 hours a week maximum, and it's really helpful. One thing is the website sometimes doesn't work, so you have to put www. And then the critical review .org, I think, but I'll put the link in the description.
And this is not something to scare you, but for USC, because it has those general ed requirements, there's a lot more planning involved if you do want to take a minor or something. Because for me, for example, I'm trying to fulfill all of my pre-med courses by my 3rd year because I don't want to take a gap year, so I really only have space for one minor and not that much room for exploration. So for me, it was really important that I like decide which minor that I want to do and then plan that into my schedule, because I don't have that room to explore courses. So just something to keep in mind, that there is going to be a little bit more planning required if you are pre-med.
I would definitely make a 2-year plan at least, so that you know if you really want to take that course in neuropharmacology, you'll know which courses you have to take when, and if those courses, those pre-med courses are only offered in the fall or spring, you know to take that. And I think I would have benefited a lot more if I actually looked into which courses were fall or spring only. Like, notice I'm emphasizing this so much.
No, I definitely agree, because, so okay, one thing that I say is that it's really easy to get overwhelmed with all of these pre-med requirements, especially if you go to a general ed school like USC. So one thing that I did was like look through all the courses and look at courses that I wanted to take no matter what. So I put those into my plan, and I'm planning around those, because I feel like if I didn't do that, it'd be very easy to be like, oh, like pre-med is definitely so much more important than this.
Yeah.
But I'm making it a point, like there's this nutrition and obesity class that I want to take, and I will take that.
Yeah, that's a really great tip. If you know you want to take courses in one really specific field and the general requirements are pretty much the same, then you want to get those requirements out of the way as fast as possible so you can take courses that you'll actually have a lot of fun studying in. You probably are interested in knowing what courses we took our first and second semesters in college, so we're just gonna put it up on the screen here. Here are my courses.
Here are my courses.
Again, to rehash why you shouldn't just take STEM courses is because it's really important to develop critical reading skills and writing skills, because those are sections on the MCAT. I think specifically the critical reading section on the MCAT is hard to study for, because you have to develop those skills over multiple years, not just a few months of studying. And
you also realize that being a doctor is not just having a dictionary of facts, it's also being able to talk to people and communicate and understand like worldly health issues, something that's becoming really important in our society.
Yes, medicine is super interdisciplinary. You hear that buzzword a lot in college, but it's true. Think about medicine and philosophy.
Immortal, read that!
We're gonna answer what we think the best pre-med major is. And keep in mind, being pre-med is a career path, it's not a major. So while you are a pre-med, you still have to major or concentrate in something. What should I major in?
There is no right answer. Major in whatever you want.
Yes, you've probably heard this a lot, but you might not believe it still, so we looked up data to prove it to you. If you look at the data for AAMC 2017, most people matriculating into med school are biology majors. However, this is kind of misleading. You have to look more into it, because while over 50% of matriculants to med school were biology majors in undergrad, biology majors also made up around 55% of all the total applicants. So just because most people going to medical school are biology majors doesn't mean being a biology major will help you get in or will give you a higher chance of getting into med school.
Definitely major in something that you're interested in, because if you feel like bio is the right major but you're not interested in it, like honestly you're not going to do as well in it because you'll feel like you're being forced to study the subject. So your passion will show in something that maybe isn't traditional. And of course, if you love biology, by all means please major in biology. It's just really up to you what you want. There's no right answer, there's no right major.
So you might think, oh, majoring in biology will, you know, help me better prepare for the MCAT, but the data also shows that the average MCAT scores of those majoring in the humanities, physical sciences, social sciences, and math or statistics are higher than those majoring in the biological sciences. The same trend goes for GPA. So in terms of MCAT scores, those in the humanities actually scored higher in the critical reading section on the MCAT, which makes sense, and likewise, those in physical sciences scored better on the chemical and physical foundations portion of the MCAT. And biology majors, actually interestingly, did not score better on average on the biology section. So what can we learn from this?
It all evens out.
Yeah, so don't major in biology just because you'll think it'll help you prepare you for med school or it will give you an edge, because it won't. The disaggregated data definitely tells a different story. Ultimately, your major is really up to you and your interests, and the stats for mean, MCAT scores, and GPA are all really close. Hopefully this convinced you that your major really doesn't matter. You should just study whatever you're interested in. And look at the course requirements for each concentration or major that you're interested in to see which one suits you the best.
And definitely talk to your advisors if you have access to them, because I'm sure they can help you draft that pre-med plan within whatever major you pick. Like, I know business majors, creative writing majors who are also pre-med, they're doing great.
Alright, I think that's the end of our video. Leave questions. I'm sure we said a lot that was kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So leave questions in the comments. I will be answering them. ANUVA will be answering them.
Yeah, DM me on Instagram.
Yeah, so let us know what you want us to talk about next in terms of being pre-med. We can talk about research, internships.
I'll be here for the rest of the summer so I can provide you insight into the Trojan life.
Also, college applications are coming up, so if you are a rising senior and you're trying to get someone to help you with brainstorming or editing your essays, click the link in my bio. Go check out my website and shoot me an email, because I have nothing to do at home.
And she's really good at editing essays, can confirm. So.
Oh my god, thanks.
Yeah.
Alright, as always, thank you so much for watching the video. We hope it was helpful and informative, and until next time.
Fight on.
Fight on.
What you